Hello, good morning. I'm Victoria Wills, teaching artist here at Lane Arts Council. Today brings us to the fourth and final lesson of building worlds with paper. You've had a chance to create your diorama stage and your flora, your fauna, so you should have a complete diorama that you can look at and share with people that represents your world in 3D. Today, we're going to use the research that you've done to learn about the adaptations that the plants and animals have evolved over time in response to the environmental challenges. And in this lesson, we're going to learn skills to help you become a nature guide so you can lead someone around your world and tell them about all the interesting things that you've decided on that are true for your world and that you've learned about the landscape and how the life forms have adapted to their environment. Let's get started with a moment of gentle movement. I invite everyone to sit up tall in your chair, stretch your neck out a little bit just by giving it a little circle with your head. You choose the direction, and let's circle our heads in the opposite direction. Get a little space in our neck. Now let's take one arm, lift it up, move it behind your back as if you're placing your arm in an invisible backpack that you're wearing, and reach around in that backpack. Take your other arm, bring it up and find your elbow and give your elbow a gentle pull. You are the boss of your own body, so you know how much pressure you can apply to that pull, and you should be feeling a little stretch in your side. So we're going to pull and help your hand look inside the invisible backpack, and we're searching for something. We're searching for a gift that you would like to give to yourself, something that you wish for yourself. And okay, I've found mine. Now taking one arm off the elbow, bring the hand out of the backpack and sprinkle the idea of that gift all over you. Let's take the other arm, bring it up and place it inside the invisible backpack. And you're right, we're going to bring our remaining arm up and find the elbow. Give it another gentle pull to find some stretch and space in your side. You can even lean into it a little bit. And this time we're searching around in the invisible backpack for something that you would like to share with the whole world. What's something that you wish for the world? And find that idea inside of your invisible imaginary backpack. I've got mine, so I'm going to release my elbow, bring my arm out of the backpack, and let's cast that idea out, throw it out, so it's sprinkled all over the whole world. Okay, we're ready to begin. Let's start by gathering our materials. Today, what you'll need is some paper. So we've got our paper here, and I'm using marker to write with because marker shows up well on the dot cam. You might want to use a pencil or a pen. I don't recommend using marker because it can be more difficult to keep it neat, but use your writing materials, and those are our materials that we'll need today. So let's move into today's project. We're going to create your field guide character. You're going to be an animal. You're going to take on the character of maybe one of the animals that you created or the character of a new animal that you think of. And you need to decide on the animal from your world, or as I said, a new creature who would also inhabit your world, that would serve as the field guide who will speak about your world. You'll perform as this creature, and so pick your favorite. Using the information that you've gathered about the way that life has adapted to survive in your world, consider how you will describe your world from your animal's point of view. So you're going to think about it as if you were that animal, looking out through the animal's eyes, hearing through that animal's ears. Let's begin to move into the next step to describe your world. You will need to review your research, most likely, unless it's all in your mind. And as always, remember, if you are watching this live, you can go back and rewatch any of the steps so that you can give yourself enough time to do your best and most thorough work. If you're watching from video, remember you can always pause the video so that you can give yourself every bit of time that you need to do your best work. So back here in the step, you're going to review your research. Review the lists or the mind maps that you created during lessons 1, 2, and 3 to gather information about the landscape, the climate, and the flora and the fauna of your world. Using this information, select a name for your world that best describes it. And let's write that down. I'm having my paper turned side to side. You can turn your paper however you'd like. And write down the name for your world. So my world is called La Selva. Let's see, let me make sure. Yeah, that's the name of my world. La Condona. My world is in Mexico. Okay, let's move on. You've selected the name for our world. Now let's begin with writing the field guide script. During this part, what you'll need to do is imagine that your animal is taking us on a tour of your world, and is answering the following questions as you write the answers from your animal's perspective. You don't want to start writing it, just listen up. Think about these things. What do you do to find and consume food as your animal? What animals or plants provide you with food? Where do you find shelter? How do you find and drink water? These are the types of questions that we're going to be working on so that you can build your script to give your tour of your world. Now, beginning to write our field guide script. Going back to the food subject. Where do you find food? Where do you eat food? So let's take a moment to write that. And think about all of the questions. Where do you find food? What animals or plants provide you with food, meaning what do you eat? Where do you find shelter? So where do you sleep or hide? And how do you find and drink water? Okay. So my world, La Selva La Condona, is in Mexico. It's in the tropical rainforest. And my answers are reflecting that. Food, where do I shelter? Where do I get my water? Let's move forward to describing the location. And remember, you can go back and review any of these parts. So if I'm describing the location, and I encourage you to break down your writing into headings. This first heading was very general to give a general idea, and now I'm writing location. And then I'll list different features. So what are the main features of my, there are a lot of trees. I shall try. What are the main features of your world's landscape? What do you use for shelter? Where does your animal sleep or hide? Where do you hunt or take cover? Are you out in the open if you are a hunter? And you can also, if you are an animal that's a grazer, for example, a cow, you could call grazing for your food hunting and think of that in the same way. How do you find your food? How do you hide? What is the climate like on a typical day? Let's look at the next question. Let's write about the other fauna that lives in your world. Fauna meaning the animals. Stay in your animal's character. Again, you're looking at what you're talking about through the eyes and the feelings and sensations and existence and experience of your animal that you're going to embody. Write about the other animals in your world as you relate to them through using these questions. What animals are your predators? Who hunts you? Who wants to eat you? What animals are your prey, if any? What animals do you hunt? And a reminder, take your time with this. I have already thought this out, so I have the answers ready to go in my head. You might need to review your other research or think about it for longer. How have the other animals that live in your world, how have they adapted to survive in the environment? What special features do you see and their anatomy. What survival strategies have they developed to help them survive in the conditions that are present in your world? You can also use this time as a time to report your research, make your script. Also, you can brainstorm while you're writing and remove things that you don't want to use later. And let's look at the final question. Let's write about the field guide's script talking about the flora. And again, I'm going to make my heading Flora. A reminder that flora is talking about the plants that live in your world. So, staying in your animal's character, describe the plants in your world as you relate to them by answering these questions. What kind of plants grow here? Well, I'm in the tropical rainforest, so I have a lot of very tall trees that provide a canopy. Shade other plants. And because the tall canopy shades other plants, green plants need sunlight to be able to produce their food through photosynthesis. Chloroplasts found in their leaves, they need to reach the sunlight, so vines are present in the tropical rainforest. What kind of plants do you depend on to survive? Do you eat them? Do you climb on them or hide in them? Not all animals eat plants on purpose. They might eat them because they're stuck to their prey animal, but there are other things that you might depend on the plants in your world for, as I mentioned, for hiding, climbing in, sleeping in, using for shelter. And then, how have these plants adapted to life in this environment? How do the plants that grow in your world, how do they survive there, considering what the challenges might be to living in that part of the world? And that's okay if this question overlaps with a previous question, because all of these answers have many facets, have many angles to them that you can talk about through. and repeating helps us remember. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next step and repeat that you can rewind or pause the video to make sure that you have enough time to give yourself the time you need to do the best work. Let's talk about embodying your animal's character. How will you accomplish this? Okay, let's use these prompts to discover how to perform as your animal character. Think about, how does your animal character hold its body? You might look at some pictures, even some videos. Google your animal and watch it moving. Maybe even Google your animal and find a webcam so you can watch it live. Discover how it holds its body. How does it move? Try to place your body as your animal might. Think about, how does your animal show emotion in its face? Demonstrate that expression. So if your animal is sleepy or frightened or excited, hunting, being hunted, how would it show that in its face? How does your animal's voice sound? Does your animal have a voice? How does it use its voice and when? Try speaking in your animal's voice. And finally, and perhaps the most important thing, is to have fun. Be comfortable being silly. Get creative. Then you're going to give a tour of your world. You'll perform as your animal tour guide, and you'll describe your world in character as you lead us, or whomever you're showing this tour to, your field guide, as you lead us around your diorama. And you can begin with the words, "We find ourselves today in the land of," and so for me, I would say this. We find ourselves today in La Selva Lacandona in Mexico, in the tropical rainforest. Give a tour to your adult mentor, your friend, your neighbor, and have fun describing your world. You could even record a video to share. So let's take a tour of my world. I'm excited to show you. We're going to travel to, I'll tell you in just a minute. I'm going to embody my character. I usually sleep during the day, so excuse me a moment. Did you hear that? It's the middle of the day, but I'm awake. What's going on? Oh, it's you! You've come to have a tour of my world. Welcome. My name is Oxalotl Sharp Izquierda. I'm an ocelot, and I live in La Selva Lacandona in Mexico. I normally sleep during the day, so I'm a little bit tired right now. But I'll try to wake up, and I'm just gonna wash my fur a little bit and stretch. And would you like to shake hands? You don't have to worry, because I'm a cat. I have retractable claws. That means that I can pull them in and protect them so that when I'm walking, I can be so silent that my prey animals don't hear me. And I can keep my claws sharp, and I can also shake hands with you to welcome you to La Selva Lacandona in Mexico. I live in the tropical rainforest. And I said that my middle name is Sharp. I'll tell you about that later. My first name is Oxalotl, which is the Aztec word, the ancient word for ocelot. I'm a cat, bigger than a house cat, and stronger too. As I said, I live in the tropical rainforest, and I'm going to show you that in just a minute. But first, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. As I said, my middle name is Sharp, and that means that my eyes are sharp. I can see if creatures are moving. That's a way that I've adapted to live in my environment, because there's so much diversity here. There's so many plants and animals that it could be difficult for me to see, but since I can see things moving just a tiny bit, I can go after them. And excuse me, I see a rabbit now. Okay. that was an early meal. So Sharp, my middle name. I have sharp ears. That's why I was able to hear the rabbit. But let's talk about my teeth, of which I'm especially proud. I don't have chewing teeth like you do. I have fangs that I'm able to grasp my prey with and make a killing bite. And my teeth in the back are sharp, like scissors. Let's visit my world. Here we are. Here's my world, and I'm going to start by showing you this tree. This is where I often sleep at night. We have long, tall trees in the tropical rainforest, and I might sleep right here on a branch. There's also a lot of brush in my world, which is where I would hide. And you might notice that another one of my adaptations is that I have camouflage skin. I have a striped tail, and it helps me look like there's sunlight coming through branches so people can't see me or the animals that I hunt. My mother taught me a nursery rhyme when I was little, and it's eyes on the side, born to hide, eyes in front, born to hunt, and that's me. I'm a hunter. So let me tell you about what I love to eat, and that will tell you about who lives in my world. We have the crocodile. I love to eat them, especially when they're babies. Crocodiles have their eyes and ears and noses on top. That helps them to lay in the water and hide and hunt, but I can see them, and I love to eat them. This is something that I need to hide from, which is the jaguar, and I'm especially terrified of it, but this is the animal that I fear the most. So, okay, I had to hide. We also have birds, and I love to eat them, and frogs, and I love to eat them too, and rabbits, which I especially love to eat. But I want to just show you a little bit about my world. Here it is. We have a lot of rain, so we have a lot of green. We have a lot of water, rivers, ponds, and lakes. This is where I live. This is where I survive. At night, I might, as I said, sleep on a branch in a tree. I might sleep in a cave or even in the brush. I'm not sure where you hide and shelter, but if you're here, I might find you. The plants that grow in my world are also tall vines that help them reach up toward the sunlight because the heavy tree canopy blocks the sun and provides so much shade. The leaves where I live have waxy coverings that protect them from having too much rain, and the leaves are angled like this so that the water just flows off like a car in a racetrack and travels down the long tip, which we call a drip tip, and rolls right off to protect the leaves from getting fungal infections. That would be nasty. So, anything else I would like to tell you about my world is that I hope you can come visit there someday. And thank you so much for listening. Now I invite you to sit up tall and let's review all the steps that we carried out to get to this moment at the final part of our project, and think about, as I said, all the steps that you followed to get here and create your diorama and your world and your character. Think of them all together, and that it took all of those individual steps to arrive to this place, and feel that sense of accomplishment from carrying through with all of your work. I hope that you can take that feeling and that sense of accomplishment with you throughout your day. And I thank you very much for joining us with Building Worlds with Paper. Bye.